Good evening. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Barnabas Brushes, episode 2. My name is Patrick. I play the character of Barnabas on the Elite Encounters live play Pathfinder 2nd Edition show, running our Soul Severed campaign in the homebrew world of Iota Dree. You can check out our main channel. You can see up there the banner for Elite Encounters. And you could check out the link down in my recommended channels to check us out on our main Twitch feed. That campaign plays every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We run about 3 hours or so every week. We play right in front of the cameras in a studio, playing our favorite tabletop role-playing game in a homebrew world. It's a lot of fun. You should definitely check it out. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Evil and Elite. Want to give a special welcome out to our Elite. That's our followers and subscribers out there that are helping support our main channel and our subsidiary channels like this one here, here at Barnabas Brushes. So really appreciate you out there helping us bring this kind of content to you. So be sure, if you're not already, click that follow button. Click that subscribe button if you can. And check out our videos on demand that drop every Friday on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube over there and help support us that way. Our main Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign is also available now as a podcast. Everywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, any platform you choose, you can catch up to us on a podcast. So yeah, as mentioned in the chat there, we are continuing our work in the undead horde, the arena of the undead horde. The miniatures are produced by Steamforge Games. You can see them creeping onto the screen here. We are working currently with the Iron Skull archers. These miniatures, they come in a kit from Steamforge Games. The kits usually come with a number of miniatures, a battle mat, a booklet that has the stats for all of the miniatures, all the creatures that the miniatures are representing, I should say, and also basically a short adventure to play. Using those models that are included in the kit. They're super cool, detailed models. They are plastic models that take really well to the slap chop prime method and speed paint painting that we do here at Barnabas Brushes. So we're prepping these models to get ready for the table for our Elite Encounters live play role-playing game channel. So be sure to check us out. We have a lot of fun playing role-playing games live. We use our dice and miniatures and maps right there in the studio. No virtual tabletops for our particular brand, at least not yet. And I don't think that's really our model. Like we really enjoy. We're kind of old school. We really enjoy sitting in around the table with our friends, with our dice in hand, a map in front of us, our miniatures in front of us, playing just like we did in the old days when we were kids. So be sure to check that out. Without further ado, we're going to start slapping some more color onto these Iron Skull archers here. We've already kind of laid down the slap chop prime, which you can see is kind of gives us this black and white kind of gradient underpainting. Almost looks like a black and white movie maybe. What that does is it creates a surface that speed paint can go over and kind of bring this three-dimensional model to life. So we've already laid down the bone color for the skeletons. You could see their kind of skull there under their blindfold. You could just make out their teeth, maybe a little bit of the nasal bones. You got some knees poking out here, little skull on the ground, and their arm bones. That's pretty much the only exposed skeletal structures on these models. Maybe a little bit of their chest there, some ribs and sternum. So we're going to go in and start coloring in their gear. We've already started with the boots, belt, and the shoulder pauldrons, and the quiver for their arrows. So I think what we're going to do is, we mentioned last week uh, that all these guys we're probably going to keep with kind of some earth tones to kind of keep them looking like the maybe the Rangers or kind of advanced scout units that they were in life. So we're going to probably stick to earth tones in our colors. We're not going to have a lot of bright, outlandish reds or purples like we had on some of other models. Probably stick to the more earth tones. Evil did make the great suggestion of painting up five with their cloaks, kind of drab earth tones, and maybe have one of them have a slightly different color on the cloak to kind of represent the commander of the unit, because we do have six of these guys, right? So we've kind of gone through. This is the another awesome kind of beauty of using the speed paint line of paints is you can paint your models in almost a uh, production line, assembly line kind of style. If you've got a unit of miniatures that are all kind of the same, just boom, 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 right down the line, paint them up with speed paints, and get out a little army, a little skirmish troop quickly and ready for the table. So, uh, yes, and we did recommend having two icy blue bows. I'm still thinking, how am I going to pull that off with speed paints? I've got some ideas, and we can kind of brainstorm a little bit here and see what we think. Okay, so I'm going to pull everybody off the board here except our one guy we're going to work with for now. And we're going to start working through, let's do the pants. And we'll just go right down the line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, coloring in the pants. And most of you watching already know what speed paints are all about. But for those of you who are new to the channel or just tuning in, we use Army Painter speed paints for the most part here at Barnabas Brushes. Army Painter speed paints are a one stroke, one coat solution, if you will, to miniature painting. So in one coat, they provide the shadow, base coat, and highlight colors to kind of create those layers that you see on miniatures to create that kind of three-dimensional pop of color on the table. And they do that in one go, which really speeds up your painting process, hence the name speed paints, uh, and has really increased my throughput as a painter. And I know has helped a lot of people out there really get some armies or skirmish units painted up quickly and ready for the table. Because a lot of us that paint miniatures also want to have our miniatures involved in our games, whether it's tabletop skirmish games or big war simulator games or just role-playing games. Board games too. I'm actually working through a commission for someone's Hero Quest miniatures for their Hero Quest board game. Ooh, that's a lot of minis. But speed paints have helped me get those to where we can have uh, icy blue eyebrows. uh, Yeah, these guys, their eyes are actually covered over by some form of a blindfold, so we'll incorporate that when we start doing some of the details on these models. But for now, for the pants, I think I'm just going to use this camo cloak, which is just a nice kind of olive drab, kind of camouflage green. Um, so we'll mix up those beads. These paints are suspended in a medium that allows the heavier pigments to flow into the crevices and create the shadows, and lighter pigments that stay on top. And those pigments need to be resuspended really well in the medium, and to do so, you just give it a good shake. They come pre-equipped with mixing beads inside, so that helps suspend those pigments. Just going to put a drop or two in a hard palette. A lot of painters will use a wet palette if they're doing things like wet blending or just regular layer painting. Speed paints, I highly recommend using a hard palette instead. And a nice little detail brush. I don't use Polinsky Sable or any other kind of higher end miniature painting brushes for speed paint purposes, because the medium has a wicking action that's a little bit harder to control sometimes than actual acrylic paints or traditional acrylic paints, I should say. So I kind of use the cheap brushes that I don't mind kind of burning through and going to the store every month or so and grabbing a new set just to keep me in nice points. Because speed paint does gnarl up your brushes pretty quick, even if you clean them out on a regular basis. Okay, so we've got our model here, and like I said, I'm going to do the kind of these breeches that they have underneath their armor here in this green. So because I've laid down the slap chop prime, this paint's just going to go right over that, just like I'm coloring in a coloring book. And what this is going to do is the darker green pigments are going to roll into those wrinkles and folds in the pants, creating those dark green shadows. The lighter pigment will stay on top. And the slap chop prime underneath just helps accentuate that. Now you can paint right onto a white primed miniature and get some of the same effect, but the slap chop I think really accentuates the gradient in color that you get in the pigments from your speed paint. So just like that, I've got his pants done, and you can see as that's starting to dry down, it's already starting to define those wrinkles and folds in those pants. Piece of cake. So on to the next. I really probably should have only started with one drop instead of two in my palette because there's not a lot of area that we're covering. And speed paint has surprisingly good coverage with a small volume of paint. Okay, there's guy number two's pants or breeches or whatever you want to call them. Can't really call them leggings. They're too loose fitting, I guess, for leggings. So you just have to let the paint do the work. Any place you want maybe darker shadows, you can always go in and pool a little bit more in there for that dark pigment to seep in. There we go. There's guy number three. So easy. So last night on our Soul Severed campaign over on the Elite Encounters main channel, we ended the night on a pretty exciting heist and a little bit of a cliffhanger as we are now kind of stuck up on the roof of Ricard Heed's manor as we have hopefully recovered one of the items that we desperately need in one of our quests. Time remains undefeated. Is that a quote from something, or is that just a profound statement from evil? That's quite poetic, actually. something that the passing of time as you get older, you definitely become acutely aware of. Right? And that green really contrasts nicely with the that bone, that little kneecap sticking out there. So you can definitely get that popping. Green is a nice contrast to yellow. That's kind of the base colors here that the bone and the pants are going for. Wow, look at that. That's 5 done already. Definitely didn't need 2 drops of this color, but that's all right. Definitely want to get there underneath his armor, even though you probably won't see it at a tabletop distance. You know, when you've got these minis on the board playing with them, you're not going to be looking upwards at them, you know, from the bottom up. But I always like to catch those with paint just to, you know, people like to pick up their minis and take a look at them, and I like to make sure all areas are colored. So there we go. There's mini number 6. Pants a painted. Paints a panted. All right. So I'm done with that color, so I always rinse my brush out with some nice clean water I've got here off camera. Wipe it out in a paper towel. Get all that excess medium up out of those bristles and get ready for your next color. Okay, speaking of our next color, we got to figure out what we're going to do here. I think that we have a lot of leathers here underneath coming up from under the belt. So we might use this lighter leather color that we used on the pauldrons to make this leather skirting here. Um, hey, kid. And of course, what a good time for Pauline to pop in and say hello as we're trying to pick colors. What do you think, Pauline? Hardened leather? I think so. Yeah. These ice blue bows. I'm really got a couple possibilities here to pull this off. And I'm going to show you something. Uh, yeah, you got to keep the kitten out of the paint water because that's really not great for them or for the painter to be drinking. So I keep a lid on my water. So I have worked on something that might suit this icy blue idea. This is kind of a ghost, a wraith. That's is this kind of the icy blue you're thinking of? Or is that too... Now this has been dry brushed white as well, so uh, yeah, I could just throw a bunch of random bottles on the ground and see which one she baps around, and that would be the color that we paint, right? Could do that. But I'll leave this on camera here so we can maybe get an idea if that's the ice blue that we want. If not, we have some other options, I think. We might be able to go a little bit darker, like this Thunderbolt blue. It's kind of more of an electric blue. I'm sorry, Thunderbird blue. Oh, can't read and handle a cat at the same time, but that's kind of a more of a teal color, really. You can see the darker pigments down there at the bottom of the bottle that need to be mixed in. I'm not sure if that's what we're going for. So we're liking this ghostly color here for the bows, maybe. Maybe not dry brush it as white, and we'll try that first and see what that looks like. And you said you wanted two like that. Okay, let's give that a go. Now to create that, um, this is something I use for a lot of my ghost models, speed painting, and it's a weird trick, but it works. It's effective. Um, we use a color called pastel seafoam, which is this kind of light pastel blue. Okay, let's give this a whirl on two of our bows here. Now the bows don't have a lot of texture to them, so they're not going to, they're just going to kind of be one color. So we might have to highlight them with a little bit of white just to get that extra icy pop. But we'll start off with this seafoam and see what it looks like. So I'll get all my guys off camera here so we can focus on what we're working on. Cool. And this is going to contrast pretty nicely with the skeleton hand as well. Now with the pastels, you lay them on pretty heavy-handed because the pigments are fairly light. They're pastel. Hey, get it? Okay. So we're just going to go to the grip there. The grip will probably do in a slightly different color. Maybe a dark blue on the grip or something, just to differentiate that from the bow material. You want to make sure to get all the surfaces. Don't leave anything exposed primer. Including underneath the leg here. This is always tricky. Kind of stabilizing the model with my brush hand pinky, just to kind of keep it stable. So go right under the cloak here. Okay, we'll let that dry down a little bit and see what we think about that coloration for that icy blue. And we'll probably accentuate it like here, the tips of the horns of the bow. We'll make those like a metal, and we'll have the grip be a slightly different color. A little bit more here. Find the leg. There we go. Okay, so as that dries down, we'll do one more. I'm guessing one of the leaders of the troop will probably have one of these icy bows, yeah? Three-finger banjo, huh? You gotta stabilize with the pinky. I have never tried to play banjo. I am a very, very amateur guitar player. I've not translated that into banjo or ukulele or mandolin or any of those instruments. Technically, I can play a little bass as well because bass is just a guitar an octave lower. That's all it is. Alas, my dreams of becoming a rock and roll star have long faded. I just have my guitars just sitting around the house. I'll pick them up and play them every now and then when the mood strikes, but not that good. You play banjo, Evil? Awesome. Definitely want to make sure we get good color loaded in here under the cloak, behind this leg here. Okay, so there's our experiment in icy blue bows. We'll let that dry down. We might try a second coat, or we might try adding maybe just a little edge highlighting of white to make those pop and have a little bit of like character to them maybe. We'll see how that looks when that dries. But since we're doing bows, we might as well knock out the rest of them. I'll rinse out this pastel seafoam real quick. Well, all right. That's all you need. Not a lot of people can banjo like Scruggs, so and yes, I'm familiar. I know a little bluegrass. I don't play it, but I know. Okay, for the our other guys, like I said, with sticking to our yeah, I got you. I was like, maybe you meant early Earl Scruggs, which when he was like really going to town, but he never really got slower with age. So, all right, like I said, sticking with the earth tone themes for the rest of our models. For the rest of the bows, the other four guys, I'm going to use this color called Sand Golem. Sand Golem is just like it sounds. It's a nice deserty sand color with some brown tones to it. But when it dries down, it has a nice kind of wood look to it. Sometimes I'll mix sand golem and hardened leather to get a little bit more pigmentation. Um, you can really go to town with these speed paints and mix them together to get varying tones of woods and stuff like that. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I have pretty eclectic music tastes. Um, and my CD collection has a lot of people scratching their heads sometimes, my wife included. Really? You like that band? Really? Yeah, I bought a couple of their CDs. I even still have my old cassette tape collection. Uh, it's getting harder and harder to find things to play them on, but okay. So this sand golem, when it goes on, kind of has this nice caramel brown color to it, and when it dries down, it'll lighten up a bit. So it kind of looks like wood. We'll kind of do the same thing here. Make sure we kind of get it under the cloak. Don't like to miss any spots. Okay, so there's our bow for guy number 3. Well, Evil, when one side of your family is from Appalachia, you get exposed to uh, some of that good old mountain music. I'm no stranger to the hollers, you can say. You can see as I'm applying this sand golem speed paint, as it dries down, maybe we can catch this on camera here. Kind of hard with the glisten. That medium needs to dry a little bit more. We'll go back and look at them after they dry. But you can see as it's drying down, you can start to make out some of the wood grain texture on the bow. That's intentional by the sculptor. It's just an artifact of the molding process. I don't know. I think it looks intentional because there are lines that don't follow the mold line. So I think it is intentional on the part of the sculptor to do this. Yeah, this is so simple. Just color like you're coloring in the lines in a coloring book. Super cool. All right. That is our 6th archer bow. At least the body of the bow pretty much done. Now let's go back and some of the details that are still part of the bow, like the grips and the horns of the bow. I think the horns of the bow will probably do in something like a metallic, just to make it interesting. We don't want to get overwhelmed with too many browns and yellows. So to do that, we'll use my old favorite enchanted steel, which is kind of a dark blue-gray iron color, really. Just get a little tiny bit of that in the palette. And we're just going to go through and just knock out the horns of the bow real quick on all 6 of our models. Pardon my reach. Okay. So the speed paint metallics are they have true metallic flake in them. They have a very fine aluminum flake. So you get a really nice metallic effect when these dry down. Some metallic paints have mica flake in them, so they'll be reflective, but the mica flake isn't ground as fine, so it looks a little I don't know, sometimes a little clunky to me, as opposed to having like a real fine aluminum flake. And that's again, I can't praise Army Painter's metallics enough because their metallic speed paints and their metallic standard acrylic miniature paints have a really nice flake to them. Really smooth, easy to work with metallics. My favorite and one of the best on the market, in my opinion. One of the best selling too. Not a lot of detail in the horns, so we won't have to spend a whole lot of time. We'll just give them a little dab and let the speed paint do its work. It'll still go into the deeper parts of the model and shadow them, but these little tips don't have a lot of detail, a lot of three-dimensional detail to them. I'm going to hit this a little more of my sand golem. Now you might be able to make out on camera that my brush is starting to flay out a little bit. Definitely needs a good cleaning. All right, we'll let those dry down for a bit. Hey Laura, thanks for popping in. I appreciate you coming by. And no worries. Yeah, that bright splashy logo that you see there underneath, is that the one you're talking about? Yep. Courtesy of Overwatch, he popped that together for me a few weeks ago. So that it does kind of bring some life to the UI here because I'm always in this black T-shirt. I might get a background behind me that's like a panel background that maybe I can put some light through or something. Yes, yes, way to go, Overwatch for sure. He has come through for us on a number of occasions, uh, both technical support and technical direction for the main show. So if you're out there, Overwatch, we appreciate you. All right, so let's do some cloaks. Yeah, and I think our cloaks we want to kind of have that kind of earth tone theme to them, right? Maybe sticking to the kind of the green, that kind of rangery green uh, colors. Nothing too bright, like we don't want a bright like shamrock green, right? But we also want something that is going to differentiate itself a little bit from those pants. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Laura, as well. Like a foresty um, green that's kind of not like a bright silly green, but yeah, more foresty. Mhm. Some more like olive drab kind of colors, kind of going through what I've got over here off camera, just to get a sense. And I think our best choices are going to be either this uh, dark green gunner camo, which will kind of differentiate itself from those pants. It'll be a little bit darker. Or we can go a little lighter and do that kind of swampy algae green color. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe let's try one with the gunner camo and see what that comes out looking like. Holy jeez. I'm going to put a couple drops, and I'm going to add maybe a little, like a half a drop of speed paint medium, just to kind of thin it out a little bit, make it not so heavy-handed in the darkness. Brighten it up a little bit, accentuate the lighter pigments. I mentioned that speed paint medium. It is basically what you can thin out your speed paints with. Sunshine's thinking of brown on these cloaks. Now we're going to have quite a lot of brown because of the brown shoulder pads. We're also going to have brown through here in the armor and everything and the belts. So if we brown the cloak, that's going to make the model really kind of monochromatic. And I don't know. For me, miniatures like I want a couple different colors on there just to make them kind of pop a little bit. I don't know. We can try one, see how that comes out. This is the Gunner Camo, kind of that dark kind of pine green. And you can see as I'm laying this down, the medium is flowing into the folds and wrinkles of the cloak and kind of depositing those darker pigments there, especially over the top of the slap chop prime. That accentuates that effect. I just push the paint around, color in where we want the paint to go, and let the medium do the work. And it's still pretty glossy because of that medium. It looks really shiny on camera, but when that medium dries out, that'll be a matte surface. Okay, so we'll take that same color and go underneath here, where the cloak comes down behind them. Here off the side here. Make sure to get this little flap that came out over the bow. And then up and over the hood. I'll be pretty careful going around the edge of the hood here. So I am going to want to color in those pauldrons as well on that blindfold. I don't want to lay my dark green on that. If I go a lighter color on that, then that'll bleed right through because these are fairly translucent paints. That's what allows that slap chop prime to shine through them like that. Okay. So that's kind of the forest green version of this guy. We'll let that dry down and see what we think. Use them all. Yeah. Laura's right. If you do take them all and mix them all together, you get mud. Right. Okay, while we're letting that cloak dry down and deciding if that's the color we want to mud color in your cow pens, I think we'll do the grips of the bow. I don't drop the mini on the floor. That doesn't help. So the grips, I think, will make the kind of the same color as like the boots and belt and everything and quiver. Just kind of keeping some consistency there. And that color was ruddy fur. It's kind of a reddish brown speed paint. That's what we did the belt and the quiver and yeah, that's one way to look at it. It smells like money. Okay, interesting. So I'm painting this kind of grip on the bow here, and I realize uh, some of their pants is shining coming through on the back. So we're gonna have to handle that. We'll go back with our original pants color and get that back leg on all of the models. Man, I'm realizing as I'm painting these, I'm getting pretty hungry. It's getting pretty close to dinner time here on the Eastern Standard Time area, and I'm thinking I might want to have tacos. Tacos al pastor, actually. What are you guys thinking about for dinner? Oh, I think these bows we don't want to do the brown grips. We'll think about what kind of grips we want to do later. Yep, tacos al pastor from La Hacienda. Super, super good. That now I won't be cooking them. To be fair, I do cook at home uh, fairly often, but when it comes to tacos al pastor, I go get that at a restaurant. The tacos I make at home are tacos al white guy, so they're pretty much pretty boring. They don't have the kind of flavor that you really get from a good authentic taco. I'm just gonna go through and just hit the back of the pants with this green. One of the cool details on these models that you notice as you're painting them up, like as I'm doing the back of the pants here, I'm seeing that these arm bones have little leather straps kind of coming down on them, like little fragments of their uh, ruined shirts, maybe. That poor little brush is getting beat up. I have to send her out to pasture. Open up a new one. Or I can try to rescue her with a little brush soap. We'll see what happens. Okay, so there we go. We've made a little bit more progress on our Iron Skull archers. We've got the bows done, their pants started going in on the cloaks. I'm kind of liking that dark green. I might try one next time with that algae green and see if that doesn't pop a little bit better. And then, we'll try Sunshine's maybe a brown, like a really dark brown, just to kind of contrast from the shoulder armor. Uh, oh man, I can only imagine California's got to have great tacos. Uh, New Mexico, I grew up in Colorado. New Mexico, great tacos. Oh my gosh. Um, but at any rate, we'll catch these Iron Skull archers next week right here on Barnabas Brushes, Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, if you haven't already, be sure to check out the our other suggested channels out there, especially the Elite Encounters, where we play Pathfinder Second Edition live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can catch our live shows there right here on Twitch. Videos on demand for those shows drop on Fridays, so you can, if you weren't able to catch them live, you can always watch them at your leisure. And if you don't want to sit in front of a screen, our Soul Saver campaign is available as a podcast. So be sure to pop those in and listen to that and catch up that way. Great way to entertain yourself on a long road trip or mowing the lawn or out, harvesting your crops. It's about that time, isn't it? Isn't it, Evil? It's about harvest time. I think our corn here is getting to the point where we're going to need to have it harvest. Uh, But at any rate, I want to thank everybody for coming by and hanging out on the channel and talking to me while we paint these minis up. It's always a good time to relax with you guys and kind of go through this Zen meditation of miniature painting with some friends to talk to while you're doing it. So I appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, subscribe to all of the channels where all of our content's available. We'll catch you on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern for our Soul Silver campaign. And possibly might have something show up Thursday, tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern if Overwatch gets some stuff put together for us for some content there. Um, yeah, as always, feel free to come by every Wednesday. You can also catch me Monday here at the same channel for my Miniature Mondays, where I'm doing commission paints and my own collection work. I got so many unpainted miniatures. I got to do something. So it's a nice balance. But these guys we're doing tonight, we're going to have them on the table for Elite Encounters at some point. And so I look forward to that. I also look forward to some really cool things on the horizon for Elite Encounters. So be sure to keep coming back and watching and see what kind of content and surprises we have in store for you. We look forward to it every week. In the meantime, have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for coming by. We appreciate the support. Good evening.